Welcome to Mostly Politics with Bob and Sherry.
And today we have the pleasure to interview Roger Valente. Roger was a retired policeman from New York City and also an entrepreneur. Him and his wife have since retired and live in the suburb of Pittsburgh. Roger is one the founders of the Quaker Valley GOP here in Allegheny County, and at one point also was a chairman for that particular organization. Welcome, Roger.
Good. Howdy, folks. Great to be with you, Sherry and Bob.
Roger, we here in Pennsylvania, like everywhere, we were expecting a red wave, and we got a blue wave, or what I prefer to call it, a bloodbath for Republicans. What do you think happened in the election that the Democrats won so handily?
Well, I did the show today because I finally stopped crying last night, so I was prepared to do it this afternoon. Anything early, the tears were just streaming down my face. I think the top of the ticket, Shapiro and friends, just heard us down ticket because we have very good people that really accomplished, that could do the job. We just got killed. We just got killed by the top of the ticket. We did.
Yeah, so that's pretty frustrating for us at the local level, who, as you say, worked with some really good people, and then they just got hurt. It's the things they couldn't control.
Right, and that's a problem. Part of the other problem is that a lot of these new districts that came out were set up so a lot of them were no longer just pure suburbia. Now they were in urban pieces too, and some of our candidates weren't familiar on how to run in an urban area. That's one of the many reasons we decided to form the Urban Option.
Well, tell us a little bit about the Urban Option.
So Stacy West and myself and Ed Wildglass, the three of us formed this PAC called the Urban Option. It's a federal PAC, which means we can support federal candidates as well as state candidates. And we've put together an advisory board. We've got about 9 members. I had a breakfast meeting this morning with Rico Elmore, and Rico's decided to join our board. Our chairman is Chris Fry, who's the mayor of Newcastle. First, one of the African Americans who got elected to a large city, the first time in Pennsylvania since 1941 that an African American Republican has been elected to any major city as a mayor. So he's going to be our chair of our advisory board. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working in urban areas to try and convince folks there that the Republican option is really the only option for them to improve their community and move forward. We're going to try and put together projects that could encourage them to, A, register Republican and also run for office locally, so that just not the Democrats are on the ballot every time, that there's also opposition from Republicans. And we're going to be doing different programs in some of these urban boroughs to try and attract people, including probably one of our main ones is going to be putting together workshops where we're going to have employers come in and set up desks and interviews so we can get folks hired. That's going to be probably one of our main thrusts, is getting promoting jobs and anything else that we can do. Everything. This is still, we just got legal last week. Joseph Patrick Murphy, what a fantastic guy. Joe ran for judge and lost, unfortunately, as Republican. But Joe donated all his time to putting all the corporation papers together and the bank papers. So we're set to go. I think he's just a phenomenal human being. So we're having our first meeting on Monday with all of our folks. But Saturday, we're going to be at the Penn Hills Public Library. We were invited there to participate in an event that's hosted by, the believe it or not, the vice chair of the Democratic Committee. I can't remember her name right now, but I'll think of it. She has a 501 charity that she put together when her son was killed, I think 17 years ago, in a street crime, where she gives out food, turkeys, advice, help to folks. And she was kind enough, after we asked her, to give us a table there. The Republican vice chair there, Frederick Knight, put together to working with her to get us in there. So that'll be our first event on Saturday. That's at the Penn Hills Public Library, 12 to 3.
Okay, so
Great.
what is the mission of Urban Options?
The
You have
mission,
a mission statement? And
we
what,
just, matter of fact, I'm going to the printer today.
Mhm.
Jeff Morrow put together a great mission statement, a great piece. Basically, is going to very soft sell, nothing hard sell, getting local folks in these urban areas to take a look at us. And also, we have to come up with some ideas that'll help them, not just the Democrats who are constantly getting elected there but not doing anything for the community. So we're going to have to come up with some novel ideas to help the community prosper and get ahead. And we're hoping the jobs program works, and we'll see what else we can put together. But right now, jobs are going to be one of our big thrusts because that's what we feel will help.
So you want them to create committees where there's no committee, or maybe other activist groups where they
Cor-
can sort of organize and work in the community?
Correct. In some of the places, there is a possibility, or there is a possible Republican committee, but what we really what we want to work with, if there's a local Republican committee, obviously we'll work with the Republican committee, work with RCAC, any candidate, but we also want to get into the Democrats, okay, who are not happy with their party, to look at us as an option. That's why we called our group the Urban Option, not even options, because we were toying around with the name, and we decided options means more than one option. No, there's only one option, and the option is becoming a Republican and looking at stuff from a Republican point of view and seeing what we could do for them.
So, Roger, that sounds great, but it seems like a very tall task. Right now, the Democratic Party took over the governorship in Pennsylvania, control the Senate, and possibly control the House. So they're going to control the purse strings of Pennsylvania. And they're going to control a lot of fundings and programs. How are you going to convince the voters that the Republican is the option when the money is going to be controlled by Democratic Party?
Okay, so, well, good question. The problem, well, that's all government money. Okay, that's money that the state and federal government is giving them. What we're hoping to do is raise local money so we can do local programs, not being indebted to the federal or state government. Because once you're indebted to the federal or state government, then they control you. One of the problems, not problems, one of the things we've got to overcome is what you're saying. Yes, a lot of these folks are so used to the federal government controlling all of their programs in their community that they don't understand that maybe they could do better themselves. Obviously, the Democrats haven't done a very good job. I notice the money comes into these communities, but what seems to happen is that their local political appointees grab these jobs, their salaries, their friends come in, and the next thing you know, very little money gets filtered down to the actual community. Yes, the money's at the community, but do the people in the community really benefit? And from what I've seen, I don't see where that's happened, because any of these boroughs or small towns, or even in the city where these wards are, the money's come in, but it hasn't benefited the people. So maybe let them keep their money. Let's figure out a way to benefit the people locally with some local ideas.
So it's not about getting people to vote Republican. It's about empowering people to get involved and leverage the resources and principles the Republican Party stands for.
Well, yeah, if you sit down, okay, 40% of somebody asked me, why am I doing it? 40% of my family is black. And I said, look, I eat with black people every week. I said, I kiss black people every week. They looked at me like I was crazy. I said, well, if 40% of your family is black, you're used to dealing with people. I said, when you sit down and talk to these folks, and we did, they have the same ideas and the same problems we have. They don't maybe express them the same way. They're worried about crime. Absolutely. They're worried about jobs. The inflation is a kill. Crime. Remember, they're the victims of crimes. 80% of the crimes, they're the victim. So they're just as concerned as we are. Do they express it the same way? No. Do we express it the same way? No. So that's something that's got to change. But they're as conservative as we are.
So, Roger, I got a question. During
Sure.
the general campaign, we see that a lot of the on the Democrat side, they have a lot of young activists. Clearly, they know how to motivate their volunteers. On the Republican side, we don't see so much, and we don't see the candidate do a good job of outreaching into the Black community or the immigrant community. And there's a lack of enthusiasm also on the Republican side, on the volunteer end. How do you, as a PAC, to change that?
Great, and that's one of again, one of the you and I've talked a lot about this, Sherry. So one of the reasons we started this PAC was because of that. I got tired, and I don't want to see any names. Goes all these people, all these Republicans, and many of them that ran for office, whose districts are in these urban areas, are my friends. Okay, and they're good people. They just didn't know how to do it. Some of it's fear, some of it's because it's a different culture. They don't know how to speak to people from a different culture. I would even use race because I don't think race is always the issue. What we're going to do, we're going to zero in on those communities and create bonds. Okay, that as elections come up, now people who are running for office can feel more comfortable coming into these communities. But one of the things we're going to do, we're going to tell these folks who want to run for office, whose district now includes an urban area, don't decide to fly. I use the term fly in. We're not going to let you fly in 3 days before election and ask our folks to vote for you. Mm-hmm. If you want people in these communities to vote for you, you're going to have to come in here from day one. The second you start going into the suburbs electioneering, you need to be coming into these communities to election year, and you need to explain to our folks what you're going to do for them when you get elected, and you're going to put an office in their area, not someplace in suburbia, because that's where 60% of your electorate is, except you keep losing because you don't bother going into the urban areas. Mm-hmm. And Sherry, you and I know, and Bob knows who we're talking about. I don't need to say names.
Right.
Because I think it's a problem with many of them, okay?
Yeah.
Who are running, districts now includes pieces of an urban area. They just don't know how to do it.
So have you tested this idea, in Black communities, other parts of the, urban areas?
Well, tell me what you mean by testing, Bob.
Well, talk to regular people, people that live out in the neighborhood.
Yeah, because every time I talk to them, they say the same. I do. If that's what you call a test, I do. Every time I talk to these folks, they say the same thing we say. Okay, I eat at least 3 or 4 because I happen to like the food. I eat 3 or 4 times a week in a restaurant in the city, a cafeteria type restaurant that is mostly Middle Eastern and Black. I happen to like that type of food. And I start conversations with people there all the time. And then once a month, we have something called Friends of Roger lunch. We have lunch there. And it's amazing how they say the same things we say. Same problems.
Is there any bias against Republicans? I mean, with the constant attacks of Republicans being racist and white supremacist, I mean, does that create a problem?
Oh, they call me that. I mean, I've been called that many times. Is there? Yes, I think part of it is because we do a lousy job messaging. Okay, we had a candidate. Again, I'm not going to say his name. We had a great candidate running for office who came from really, really humble beginnings, super humble beginnings, who ran against an opponent who came from a large legal family who was well established. Mm-hmm. The guy from humble background was made to look like the big rich Republican, and the guy who was the Democrat looked like the working class guy. Just the opposite. Whose fault was that? Our fault. Right. We didn't message that person. He didn't message himself properly. Just didn't. And that doesn't resonate well in the urban. Forgetting Black, the urban communities also contain Democrats. They hate rich white people, and Republicans to them are rich white people. Between the unions and everything else, they hate rich white people. Literally. When they see the word Republican, they think rich. So we've got to overcome that. Now Donald Trump has changed the Republican Party. The Republican Party now contains many, many blue-collar and low middle income people. It is no longer the party of the rich, fat white guys. Okay? Yeah, I'm a fat white guy, but I'm not rich. I didn't make it up that far. But now we've got the type of people that can get in there and do it, and I'm one of them. And I brought along a lot of other people I know can do this. And once we get some of these folks listening, they'll tell other people. Will this happen in a year? No, but this will happen. It is moving. All of the numbers show that blacks and Hispanics are voting in larger numbers for Republicans. We just got to get the right guys and gals in these communities to talk to them and not be afraid. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
So, Sherry, I got to tell you the story. So you told me a story about, you've walked into places and you're Asian/Chinese, and people look at you funny. So my wife and I are in Toronto, and we stayed at the Hampton Inn in a town that was all from Hong Kong. The entire community was from Hong Kong. Over 100,000 people. So we go to the mall, and people looking at us. They couldn't figure out why we're at the mall. Everybody there was Chinese.
Yeah.
The restaurants, the stores, we had such a the people are so nice to the Asian people are so nice to old people. So respectful and helpful of old people. We had a great time. But I said, on the way home, I said to Pat, my wife, I said, now I know what Sherry was talking about when she goes into some places. Except these people were super nice. But anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't want to divulge what we were doing. So, okay.
Yeah.
You sound really passionate about this. Is this normal? I mean, are you this passionate about everything, or?
Well, okay. I have two problems. Okay, three problems. Okay, number one, I'm 3/4 Sicilian, 1/4 Irish. Okay, number two, I'm 78. I've got maybe a couple of years where my brain works and I'm not wearing a diaper. Okay, so I've got to move this along. Okay, the good thing is all of the people that I brought into the organization with me are almost all young, and they've all been told, Roger's only going to be here, a couple more years and he's done. You guys got to, get ready to move up. And that's the understanding. And I'm passionate because I see the problem, and nobody seems to want to step up. When we formed QVGOP, we were told it couldn't be done. So they had tried, RCAC had tried for years to get committees going in that area and couldn't get it done. And I'm not even from there. And I met this woman, I forget her name right now. She started talking to me. She said, I think you can do this. I said, what makes you say that? I said, I'm the poorest guy and the least educated guy after all the people I talked to. She said, no, I think you can do this. I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. And RCAC said, no, try it. We've got nothing. No one else has made this happen. So we put together this group. I have the least amount of education, and I have the lowest per year income. But we led this and made it work. And I feel it in my gut, okay, especially with the people we got around us. I know this can work. Not in a year, but I know this. And someone says, well, how do you know this is going to work? What's going to be your metric? I said, very simple. The metric is going to be in a year from now, if X number of people that were registered Democrat are now registered Republican, or registered independent or now Republican, or weren't registered in the areas that we're working in now Republican. A, that's one sign that we're working. B, if someone runs for office and gets a lot more Republican votes than they got in the past, we'll know that there's Dems crossing over because of our message to vote Republican. But we really want to find local people to run for all of these offices in all of these boroughs and all these city wards that are always empty. They always got just a Democrat up. Is that passionate enough?
Yeah, it's great.
Does that explain it to you, Bob?
Yeah.
It does. It does.
So I don't have any more.
You're an easy interview, Roger. Just
Yeah,
ask
you
any
are.
question, and you know.
I got to get it done. I got 4 years, maybe. Okay.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Plus, my grandsons are working. See, that's the other thing. I'm doing this for my grandsons and my great grandkids. They're working. My grandson called me the day after the election, literally in tears. We talked for 35 minutes on the phone about the election. Not about we always talk about family, talk about election. Black Republican. Mm-hmm. He's totally distraught over what happened. How did we lose?
Mm-hmm.
So believe me, there are lots of people who don't look like us, okay, who are concerned. who will step up if the right people are there to lead them.
Yeah, people no longer vote for economy. That's
Yes,
the
the economy.
problem.
Right. I mean, the economy is a huge deal, but
Mhm.
nobody, people. Can I keep going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So people go. People talk to them about in all real estate type. These people pay rent. Let's be honest. Most of these people in urban areas are paying rent. So don't talk to them about their property taxes are going up. That doesn't mean squat. Talk about their groceries are going up. That means something. Talk about the fact that eventually the mass transit costs are going to go up because the diesel is going up. They understand. When you start talking about property taxes, they stop listening. And
Hmm.
that's another
Yeah. So
problem.
talk rent, which if
Right.
property taxes go up, rent's going up.
Right, right. But that's a tough one that's a tough message to get across. Another problem, we Americans tend to think we've stopped reading a lot. Nobody reads newspapers anymore. Everybody gets their messages and information online. So if you're going to put out information to someone, if it's more than a paragraph long, you've lost them.
Yeah.
They just glaze over. And that's part of our problem. We send out all this literature in the mail. What a waste. What a waste of
Hmm.
money. What a waste of money. The better way is to do stuff in the communities. Okay, use the online, use the clicks, use the texting. Everybody keeps wasting his money on these mailing things. What a waste! Just a waste of money. No, we got to get the message tuned to the community. When we talk about crime, we have to talk about how that crime affects them, that they're the victim. Stop talking about the person who committed the crime. Okay. Another piece. Can I do this?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Another. Okay. Another piece that Rico Elmore is bringing in because he taught me about it 2 years ago when I worked on his campaign. There is a process in Pennsylvania. Okay, we lose people. This is part of the criminal justice program. We've got a piece on our platform about criminal justice. Okay, there are people who have gone to jail, paid their dues, come out of jail, paid any fines, and now can't get a job because they got a quote unquote criminal record. Now, I'm not talking about someone who's a murderer or someone who's a sex addict or something like that. I'm talking about maybe they sold drugs. Okay, maybe they bounced checks. Now they've come out, they paid their dues, can't get a job because they got a criminal record. What's going to
Hmm.
happen? Well, eventually, according to the statistics, within 6 months to a year, they're back in jail. We
Right.
can't afford. We can't afford to send them to jail. It costs too much money. But there's a program in Pennsylvania so few people know about, and that is if you've got a conviction, if you've done everything right, and if it's a type of offense, they will pardon you. You will get something called a judicial pardon. You have to apply for it. Well, Rico Elmore put together this program on how to do it and help
Hmm.
people do it in Beaver County. And after this conversation this morning, he's going to bring this program to Urban Optics. So we're going to be able to help our people fill out the paperwork and put in for a pardon. Because once
Yep.
they get that pardon, they can get a job. I found out, I put this through a friend of mine when I lived in New York. He had a white middle class guy. He had a drinking problem. He also had a real estate license. On his third DWI, that's a felony, he had to go to jail. He went to jail for 6 months. When he came out, he couldn't get a job. He could not get his license back. He ended up having to move to California to work. And there's hundreds, if not thousands, of people like that are out there. We've got to be able to help them. We were in a restaurant. A couple of young guys. I'm always accosting people about
Hmm.
why don't you be? Are you a Republican? I point out. You're a Republican. My wife's going to get shot one day. Well, anyway, these two young guys. I don't know what company they had a company jacket on. So we started a conversation, and I said to him, "Are you guys registered to vote?" The guy said, "No." The white guy. He said to me, "No, I have a felony conviction." He said, "I can't vote." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You go." He said, "I paid everything," but I said, "I can't vote." I mean, that's a vote lost for us. Okay.
Right.
So we've got to figure out the system is there. Okay. It's there. We've got to decide we're going to help them get it done. So if you build a reputation in a community that you're looking to help people, put their past behind them and move forward, that goes a long ways. Even for people who can't use the system, they say, well, these guys are trying to help us.
Mm.
Yeah.
You got
And
to build
for
creds. I was a street guy. You got to build creds, okay, credentials. You got to build credits in the community. We're building no credits in these communities. None. None.
hmm.
We need people that can go in there and build creds for these
Yep.
people. And I think we put together a team and we'll bring more people on that can do it. I'm sorry for going long on you guys.
No, it's okay.
No, it's fine. And I just wanted to say for any Republican listeners that what you're describing, because we talked to Rico about it when we interviewed him, that there's a process on a case by case basis for people to get their records expunged so they can
Right,
lead a normal
exactly.
life.
Right,
But it's not murderers and rapists
right,
and these
exactly.
serious violent
Right,
criminals. In
right.
fact, Trump did some of that. When he was in office, releasing people. Maybe it was a drug smuggling thing, by a grandmother, but nobody was harmed.
Right.
But it's different than what we're seeing right now. What the Democrats are doing with the no cash bails and things like that. They're just,
So,
massively
oh,
releasing people.
absolutely. And those people that they're releasing are going back
Right.
into the community and robbing and killing black people.
So you can't just open the doors and,
No, of course. No,
this
our program.
massive,
No. Our program is
decriminalization.
no. Our program is real criminal justice,
Right.
bringing justice to people that paid their dues and are
Yep.
not going to be a threat to society. Okay, that's real criminal justice. What's going on now is just criminal. Okay, not criminal justice. It's releasing criminals to go back in the community and kill more black people.
Yep.
I hate to be racist, sound racial about it, but that's what it is. If not black people going back into these poor communities and killing white people who are poor. Okay, and we talk about saying our party is really big on abortion. Okay, on the right to life. Okay, again, the biggest victims of abortion are black people. In the city of New York in 2020, more black babies were aborted than black babies were born.
Yeah.
That's genocide. That's not abortion. That's genocide. Why aren't we conveying that to our friends in the black community?
So the black community understands that, knows it, because they said, you have the liquor store, the gun store, and the abortion clinic, all designed closer to the poor community. I think it's a generation thing, is they're used to voting Democrat or they just don't vote. So I think that's another reason. And then if you do, and then the media made them feel like the only way out is to have an abortion. There's no other choice.
Right, and we've got to stop. We've got to give people a choice. Right.
Right. If you have a clinic across the street from the Planned Parenthood and say, okay, before you go step into Planned Parenthood, come over here, and we can give you an option where you can have this baby. Here's a beautiful family that will adopt this baby. I mean, but there's no, some of these kids, people think, they don't think there's another option.
You're right. You talk about adoption. One of the things that really bothers me is the fact that we allow a foreign adoption, okay, and not even consider trying to talk to our fellow Americans about adopting Americans. Okay, we let them go overseas and adopt children from all different races and different countries, but we never really try to convince them to adopt within our own country children of mixed race or a whole race, i.e., black or whatever, Hispanic. We don't do that. We should be investing public money or time to convince Americans to adopt Americans and make it more difficult for them to adopt foreigners.
They make it very difficult for American couple to adopt within United States. And not only that, is extremely expensive and a very long process. And one of my friends who is a very well-off black couple, and they adopt a black child, a little boy. And she told me it is harder for a black couple to adopt a black child than for a white couple to adopt a black child.
So we have to stop that. We have to stop that.
And it is very difficult. So if they would make it so easier for couples to adopt and not costing so much money, then I bet you a lot of people will run to the hospital and say, yeah, I will adopt a baby. I mean, me and my husband would be happy to adopt a baby, but looking for this 2 to 4 is a 2 to 4 year process, and it costs anywhere between $40,000 to $60,000. That is not something, a middle income class couple can afford. I'm sorry.
No, I know, but that's got to be part of our message. Part of the Republican message just can't be, we're pro-life. Okay, that's not enough. Okay, we've got to take in that second piece when we're pro-life. Okay, now that we've convinced you to have this baby, now what? Okay, you
Right.
just can't keep saying we're pro-life, we're pro. No, that's a dead message.
And
Okay.
I'm going to give you one more piece of this part of this whole adoption process. So there's also a foster care. Okay, you know how people say I'm getting kicked out from home to home to home.
Right,
The
right.
way the foster care work turned out, and it breaks a lot of people's hearts. So when I heard the whole process, I don't have the heart to do it. You take a baby, like let's just say a baby born out of a mother that's a drug addict. Okay, so I would say, okay, I will foster this baby, this child. So I would develop a bond with this child. And the social service would say if the mother cleans herself up, she will be able to take this
Yeah,
baby back.
yeah. Big
And you
problem.
have to have this baby for 3 years before they go back. What end up happening is this baby gets foster, keep going back and forth between the foster family and the family that would the birth parents that's probably irresponsible. And now if I was a foster parent, if this baby get taken away from me after 6 8 months or a year, I don't want to have this baby back because I'll just keep getting my heart broken again. So that's a big problem. If we know the parents are not responsible, the biological parents, why not make it easier for the foster parent just to adopt the child?
So we got to make sure when someone's running for the state senate or state house,
Mm-hmm.
that's one of the questions we propose and we ask them. Hey, look, when you get to Harrisburg, this is what we expect you to do. And you see, that's as a community, as an urban community, what we're gonna be telling these folks that we're gonna run for office. This is what we expect from you. We know what the suburbs expect from you. Now, this is what we expect from you if you want our vote, because they can't win. These guys or gals that are running for office, they can't win if they've got an urban piece without getting a good percentage in urban vote. They can't
Mm-hmm.
win.
Right.
So they've got to do something. They've got to come to the urban areas, and we're hoping that we're one of the vehicles that will be used to help these folks get elected.
Yep. Absolutely. So, Bob, you have any more questions?
No, no, very
Okay.
good.
Well,
All right,
Roger, thank
guys.
you so much for coming on. And then when your urban option may be moving along a little bit further, and maybe in a 6 to 8 months time, or next election cycle, come back, give us a little bit of progress report.
Oh, definitely we will. After our first job fair, we'll definitely get back to you.
Okay, sounds great.